Hello and welcome to another video. I'm in the woods, I've got a little basket and today we're going to collect some mushrooms. Now, mushrooms, wild edibles, things like that, I'm definitely a beginner when it comes to things like that. So disclaimer, anything that I show you here, please don't take this as gospel. Make sure that you do your own research before you go out and collect. But I've been spending some time with a lovely lady called Danny, who is actually an expert. She has her own channel, it's called Danny in the Wild. I'll put a little link to it up here, and if you check out her channel you can learn so much about things from, you know, gardening all the way up to foraging wild edibles, identifying mushrooms, stuff like that. So I've had some time with an expert and I now feel confident enough to have a little look and see what we can find. Now, there are some mushrooms that I do already know from my bushcraft application, so things like birch polypore, horseshoe fungi, the cramp balls, you know, things like that I do already know. If I spot any that I do already know, I'll point them out to you as well. And see, just hiding down here, we've got, I believe, this is the Amethyst Deer. The Amethyst Deer. Look at that fantastic colour. Amethyst Deer is a fantastic place to start because of its colour and its irregular stem. It's a really distinct mushroom. However, it is called a deceiver for a reason because it can sort of appear in any form. The cap can be flat, it can be upturned. So quite often they can be mistaken for other things, and there are a few things around here that it could be mistaken for. There's also just the regular deceiver, which is a more browny pinky colour, and if we find one of those whole, I will show it to you. Just come across another edible mushroom. This is a very large, impressive one. This is a member of the Russula family, and you can determine that by three ways. The first way is that they have very brittle gills, so when you run your finger across the gills they flake like almonds. The second way, the stem, it snaps like a piece of chalk. And the third way is that you can actually peel off that top layer there and it just comes away nicely. These guys are obviously nicknamed brittle gills because their gills are so brittle, and this is the ochre brittle gill. We've just gone from a short walk and I found these growing out of a piece of wood, so obviously that tells me that they're wood rotting mushrooms. I cannot remember the fancy name for these, but these are bonnet mushrooms and these are actually toxic. And it's kind of scary because if you look at the pattern on the gills and you compare that to our deceivers, it's very similar, and these are growing pretty much alongside each other, so it'd be very easy to confuse these for something that's edible. Another mushroom that might cause confusion is this one. At first glance it looks like a puffball. All puffballs are edible when small, as long as when you cut them open they are completely white on the inside, so you'll need a knife for this one. However, it's very firm to the touch and it's very round. It doesn't sort of have a larger top than base. So I actually think that this is an earthball, not a puffball. And earthballs are poisonous. Earthballs are toxic, and you'll know if it's an earthball because when you cut it open it will have a white sort of rim, and then the inside will be black or blue, just absolutely dark. So if you ever cut open a mushroom that is bulbous and it's not completely white, don't eat it. Cut this open and we'll see what colour it is inside. And there we go, it's sort of a blacky bluey colour. So that is an earthball, not a puffball, so that is not edible. Right next to that unedible one is this, and this looks almost identical to our ochre brittle gill that we picked earlier. It's just a different colour. Now the brittle gills, they come in lots of different colours, so we can do the standard test. Do the gills flake? Yes they do. The base snaps like chalk and the top peels off in a film like that, you see. This is a more sort of charcoaly colour. But because I don't know what this is, even though I know it's a brittle guil and most of them are edible, and I could test, I could take a little nibble, and if I feel any sort of heat or pepperiness on my lips, then generally, depending on how intense it is, will determine whether or not it's edible. You have to do your own research on that. But because I can't name this, I'm not going to put it in the basket, because that's how mistakes happen. And if you don't know, don't eat it. But if you have an expert on hand, ask them. So here's another one of those earth balls that you may or may not mistake for a puffball. Again, cut it open, and you can see it's dark on the inside. So looking around the earth balls, you remember our Amethyst Deceiver from earlier? Well, there is its buddy, the Deceiver. You'll see they're almost identical, just slightly different colours, and this one is a lot larger. Both edible, so in the basket they go. We have now entered the field, and this stuff here is called honey fungus. This fungus is really cool because this is actually a killer of trees. You'll find this growing in clusters around dying or dead trees, on stumps, but if you find it around live trees, it actually infects and kills its host tree, basically, so somewhat parasitic. These are quite large, like I said, they grow in clusters. They've got this sort of brownish, almost light sort of yellowy to brown cap. They have a little skirt on them as well, and you can see the gills there. The gills are really neat. I won't pick that. One, because I don't know enough about it, and two, because it's too spectacular. How awesome is that? In a couple of minutes, short walk, we have a basket full of mushrooms. Again, I would like to say a huge thank you to Danny for helping me and showing me some of these mushrooms. And if you'd like a little bit of a hand, then you can always check out her book, The Forager's Almanac. It is available. It's really cool, and yeah, check that out. But again, like I've said, make sure that you check out her channel and show her some love. I'm very happy with everything that we found today. So I think that just about does it for this video. I'd like to say thank you again to Danny from Danny in the Wild for all of the help and all of the teaching. Be sure to check out her channel. I will have a card linked to her channel. But remember, I'm not an expert, she is. So if you have any questions, go and ask her. And if you don't know, don't pick it. If you do know, it's still best to double check with an expert. But anyway, that's all we've got time for today. If you like what you see and would like to see more videos from me, you know how it is. Like, subscribe. Make sure you go over and give Danny some love as well, and like, subscribe to Danny's channel. But that's all we've got time for today. So I'll see you in the woods.